Recording. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Bald and Beardiful. I'm Chris.
I'm Bryce.
I'm Bald.
And I'm Beardiful. And what the heck are we talking about today?
The Super Bald. No, Super Bowl week. Uh, Football is officially coming to an end where no more Sundays or Saturdays or Thursdays or Mondays. Dang, there's a lot of football on.
Yeah, there's a lot of football. And, depending on the time of year, there's also no more Saturdays. Did you say that? I'm tired.
Yes, I did say Saturdays because I did account for college, and then when college football ends, the playoffs are on Saturdays. So,
Who watches college?
a lot of people
More
watch
people than
college.
the NFL, I think, actually. I
Probably.
know.
There's more people in
I don't
college, I
know. I
think.
think, yeah, I know. If there's definitely a lot of school loyalty versus, I feel like there's more, just because there's more colleges, there's more fans than the NFL teams.
Well, that and you have to remember, like you also have like the double fans, right? So you have people who like rooted for schools because they grew up rooting for schools. Like my wife, she grew up rooting for Ohio State, but she's an alumni of ASU, right? So she roots for Ohio State because her dad's family's from Ohio, and that's
And
what she grew up
who would
watching Ohio
root
State
for
football. And
who would
then
root for
ASU,
Cleveland?
Cleveland, no.
Where is
I don't
Ohio
think
State? I don't even know.
I always get this wrong. It's not Canton. It might be Canton. I think I say Canton and then always say that I'm wrong, but I'm right. I don't know. Somewhere in Ohio, somewhere in the middle.
Now I gotta look this up. Ohio State. I have no idea. Of course, because I'm typing in the wrong stuff.
That does help when you do
Yeah. Columbus.
Columbus. Yes, that's what I mess it up. So yeah, I always mess it up and say Canton.
Like, isn't Columbus the capital?
Yes,
How do you mess that up?
because it's not like I'm in third grade and where I'm memorizing state capitals. Like, and
You
do you
obviously
know?
don't go to trivia night anymore.
Do you know how many times I've had to like actually remember state capitals in my adult life?
Can you?
The
I
answer is
had a
zero.
joke. It was going to be
It's a
very poor
rhetorical
taste.
question. It's a rhetorical question. The answer is zero.
Yeah,
There
it's
is.
come up a lot for me, but it's because I go to trivia nights.
I go to trivia all the time, and it's never like, "What's the capital of Ohio?" They don't. No,
No, it's
it's
usually
usually
named like five capitals that start with an A. Like, oh crap, or that have two that begin and end with a vowel,
yeah,
or
it's that
how
kind of
many
stuff.
capitals have a B as their first letter. I'm like, oh geez. Because the trivia have gotten a lot better at geography and capitals.
Yeah, that's what I say. Somewhere in the middle. But I've also had zero reason to go to Ohio because it's not like we visit. Like Sam's family is pretty sparing out in Ohio, so we don't really have a reason to go visit at this
Man,
point.
we get sidetracked so easily.
Anyway, moving on. Championship round recap. Oh yeah, we
Yeah,
almost had the State Farm Bowl.
would have been hilarious. I still wish it would have happened just so the conspiracy theories would have flown like the river. Yeah,
The only thing better would have been if the Super Bowl was going to be held at State Farm's Stadium. Patrick
yeah,
Mahomes
in
versus Aaron
Arizona.
Rodgers at State Farm Stadium.
Who's getting the better sponsorship deal?
The stadium.
Yeah, right. Didn't they play? They played in Arizona back in 2009. I don't know if they did it anytime between then though.
Who, the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't, but it was
Wait,
in
was it?
'09.
No, '09 was just against the Cardinals because it was Steelers versus Cardinals. I don't know when they. I don't. I know they've played there.
Who? The Steelers? The
Super,
Steelers have to do with it.
no. I'm thinking I'm confusing two different events. The Steelers and Cardinals played in the Super Bowl. Steelers won in 2009, but I don't think that I was thinking that was at their own stadium.
No, no, because they don't. No, no, no. That one was in Miami, I want to say.
Yeah, because it definitely was those two.
I'm
And
pretty sure it was in Miami.
Tampa.
That was close. It's
Yeah,
Florida.
yeah. You were correct. Yeah, I'm not going to do a Google search for it. That would take too long for if they ever played in Arizona. Maybe I'll pop up with it in the middle of the segment somewhere.
Who ever played in Arizona?
If there was ever a Super Bowl in Arizona.
Yeah, there was. The Giants and Patriots played here.
Oh, what do you remember the year?
Oh, 8, I want to say. It was like right after the year after the stadium opened.
Apparently there was one 2015.
Who played in 2000? Patriots were playing. Patriots and who?
Seahawks.
Oh, that's right. I should have known that. So yeah, so I say like
Yeah.
they
So,
definitely played in
I
'08
knew they were
against.
there. I just confused the year with the players and whatever.
Yeah, they definitely played against the Giants. One of the years again that they lost to the Giants was in Arizona. It was the year after the stadium opened. Uh, um, and and then yeah, they came back. Patriots Seahawks when the Seahawks won their championship.
Giants in New England in 2008 as well. So the year before.
Hmm.
Well, the year before the Cardinals and Steelers Super Bowl. Anyway, yeah, almost at a State Farm. Rodgers didn't do much that game, or at least not enough. Uh, Mahomes, Kansas City has not had a Super Bowl win in exactly 40 years. 1970.
40-year dry spell.
Yeah, they got a chance. I don't know the last time they went to a Super Bowl. I didn't even look. I really gotta start doing these researches beforehand. I um I don't know why I don't think of it because we just all this is more improv, so I don't think about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about San Francisco going?
What was that?
What do you think about San Francisco going to the Super Bowl?
I mean, I'm looking at their path to the Super Bowl was not a difficult one. I mean, once they got to the playoffs, I'm not saying that they had a light schedule. I really didn't look at their schedule. I don't think it was necessarily light, but it wasn't necessarily really difficult either. But as far as like from a playoff perspective, I think they had the easiest. Um, uh, I think they had the easiest route, right? Because they got a bye, and then they played Minnesota, where Minnesota only played for about a quarter, right? They got out, they went up by like 10 points, and then decided to, I don't know, stop playing, whatever, take a nap. Not really sure what happened. You go up by 10 points, like you should be able to like, if you, as long as you just continue, you continue to match the score, right? And you continue with 10 points. And it's not like the Niners have this really explosive offense. They have a really good defense, and they have a good offense, right? Like in the Green Bay game, Jimmy G only threw for 77 yards and no touchdowns. Like it's not. I mean, not that they needed to, right? Mostert ran for 220 yards and 4 touchdowns, so they didn't even need to. They didn't need to throw the ball, right? But it just goes to show, like, but it shows you who Shanahan has confidence in and how they approach the game, right? They're going for that low variance, really not putting Jimmy in, you know, in places to make mistakes or really be the one to win the game for them. They're taking a low variance approach to that game by just continuing to. I mean, I get, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I'm not saying that that's the way it should be. If you can get away with it, by all means, put that W on the board 100% of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like
From
that's what I'm looking at.
And from what I'm reading, it looks like the Chiefs haven't been to a Super Bowl since the '60s.
The 60s?
Yeah, it says the Chiefs won three AFL championships in 62, 66, and 69.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I know there's a good handful of teams out there that haven't won a Super Bowl, but it's just like it's been so long. I mean, what 50? We're at 54 now, and there's 32 teams. So figure if this was the modern day NFL, doesn't everyone get at least one win?
Nope.
Because that's not how it works. Who are you rooting for?
Casey.
Yeah, me too.
Not
Mainly,
because
oh no, mainly because of Pete.
yeah, I was
Absolutely
like, this
because
is
of Pete.
100%. That is 100% of our reason. That's why I like, our fantasy like group message when the Packers and Aaron Rodgers decided that they just weren't going to show up, and Pete was saying, was calling in on his our little like friendly side bet that we had. I was like, all right, I guess we're all Chiefs fans now.
No, they definitely fought hard to get there. We'll see. We'll see how they do. Well, both of them, really. No, except for maybe Jimmy in the last game.
Yeah, I do find it interesting though that the Chiefs are favored. I don't know if that's a trap. I mean, they're not favored by a ton, but not sure if that's a trap or what. But I look at that, I'm like, I feel like San Francisco should be the favorite team, being that they had the better record um, at the end of the season, right? And um, and overall, like, and they were a higher seed than the Chiefs because Chiefs were a number 2 seed. So I don't know. That just seems. I mean, there's a huge differentiation a lot of times between the 1 and 2 seed, right? Uh, but I kind of feel like the Niners should have been the favored team. So I don't know. This it screams trap to me, but I'm not a professional sports capper by any means. So maybe there's obviously uh, information out there that I don't have or am not aware of.
Yeah, sometimes it just feels that way. I don't know. So yeah, I don't really know how they come up with like the spreads when even in Coder 5. I
Well,
mean, some of them just makes a little bit of sense depending on if you had the Ravens against Miami, like at least this year. I can understand why it'd be so high. I never know how they come up with it.
Well, Cover Five just uses whatever the Vegas odds are. Like, there's a couple odds makers um, that publish odds, right? Like opening lines and things like that, and they just use whatever that is published um, for that. And then like the odds, like when you do sports betting, like when you're in Vegas, where it's where you can, or any place that is legal, the lines shift based on basically based on public money, right? So as people put money on either team, that can shift the line one way or the other. And then the other thing that they'll adjust is like if there's like a big injury announcement or something like that, they'll adjust the line based on the formula because of how much expected value that particular player brings to whichever side of the ball. And then they quantify it. There's definitely calculations. There's computers involved. There's also like what they call super cappers, which are people that have just been around for forever. And then they have like it's almost like a gut feeling, but I hate to call it a gut feeling because I think that discounts what they do. It's they take in the numbers plus some of the other like rumors, and and if they have connections to like NFL insiders and things like that, so they get a lot of that information before it becomes public, and then they make a decision. And then they make a decision based on the numbers and the and then that other piece of information, and then they kind of set a line based on that.
Yes, yes, there's too much information for me. All right, well, go Chiefs. I'm sure our old neighbor. I can't speak this morning. Old neighbor Cody is ecstatic. Um, so I don't know. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yep. We kind of already talked about this, but figured I should show it. I probably should have clicked. We
Yeah,
kind of.
probably should have. That's all on you, buddy. I was wondering why we were still on the one that looked like it was for last week. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess we were talking about it enough. They can see that. But I was like, but why doesn't it have, San
I honestly really
Francisco
just
Chiefs
like
on
that
there?
meme of Jimmy G. I just think it's hilarious because it's very fitting.
Well, you want to explain to them why it was so fitting?
Yeah, it's because he didn't do anything. No, I'm kidding.
Just
Well, no, he only threw for 77 yards. He didn't even, and he ran for. Oh wait, he threw for 77 yards, no touchdowns, and ran.
you're talking about the Green Bay game, by the way.
Yeah, the Green Bay game.
Yeah.
This is the last game that he played, right? The NFC Championship game. Threw for 77 yards, so didn't even eclipse 100 yards, and ran for -4 yards.
Oh,
But they won
geez.
handedly, right? 37-20 is a pretty, handed whooping, if you will.
Yeah, two touchdowns and a field goal is a
17
pretty
points. Yeah, 3 scores.
good buffer.
Yeah. So, but it's not like he can. I mean, he contributes. We're not saying that he does, but he didn't. You know what I mean? Like he's out there. He's running the offense. He has other jobs besides that. But as far as from an overall like production perspective, it really wasn't him. It was the defense and the running game.
Okay, we'll see if that can be enough on Sunday.
The biggest problem though that I see, like I would love for KC to win, but their run defense ranks 28th or 29th in the league in regular season, and Green Bay's was like 23rd, and Green Bay was unable to stop the run. So there's that. But at the same time, though, Green Bay definitely does not have the same level of offense. So it's kind of that. I said this matchup is KC's offense against San Francisco's defense, and who ultimately wins out, right? Because if KC can keep the defense on the field and maintain time of possession. But the key to that is not just maintain time of possession; they still have to score, and they don't, and basically grind and tire out the defense. I think they can win this, right? Because they're not necessarily going to be able to stop the run, but if they can
They did all
force.
right stopping Henry in the last game.
True, but
He
Tennessee
only
also
got
does.
69 yards and one touchdown.
Yeah, that's true, but Tennessee doesn't have the same like you know passing game as San Francisco, right? I feel that San Francisco has Kittle, um, and uh, why can't I think of his name? Debo, right?
I am drawing a blank as well.
Yeah, he has a few. Um, he has some more weapons, and they all and they're both of their running backs, right? Breda and Mostart can catch out of the backfield, so I feel like they have a overall and more dynamic
Yeah.
offense by comparison to Tennessee. Like, yeah, Tennessee was super reliant on Henry going off, right? When
Is
Henry had a great game, their entire offense had a great game.
Sanders still on San Francisco? Yeah, he went from Denver to San Francisco. So yeah, they got Sanders,
Oh
Debo,
yeah,
Samuel, and Goodwin.
that's right. Manuel Sanders has been like kind of injured though. Like he's had game even though when he moved over, he had like that one big game, and then he like stressed an injury, and then he like played for a quarter and then went out, and then he skipped a week, and then he played for like half a game and then went out. Like I mean, I think he plays. I think he's going to play more, being that it's the big game, right? It's the Super Bowl,
Yeah, he was gonna want to play.
and he's had some time to rest up. So hopefully he's gotten some therapy and um and overall, been good to go with that. Um, so they have a lot more. I think they have a lot more weapons that are a lot more consistent, right? Like Tennessee, I think Tennessee is as long as they don't have a lot of attrition, I think Tennessee will be a great team next. Could be potentially be a great team next year. I'm curious to see if people sleep on them next year. If they put up, if they come back and people are just like, it was a fluke, and then they come back and do the same stuff again, right?
Right.
But either way, I'm still on KC. I think that it's going to come down to Mahomes. I think if Mahomes uses his legs, Mahomes wins this. Mahomes ends up, and I'm saying KC wins if Mahomes goes off, and Mahomes ends up Super Bowl MVP. I think Mahomes will probably end up Super Bowl MVP even if they lose. To be honest,
Does that even happen?
yeah, that's happened before. I
It's got to
think.
be
Well, I think it's happened to
rare.
Brady. I think it's happened to Brady. So
Of course, it's happened to
like
Brady.
it was already like set up, and they're just like, meh, whatever. Like they were
But we
supposed to
but we
win, but
made all these shirts.
yeah, basically. Oh, did you see after the NFC Championship game, George Kittle's? I think it was after the NFC Championship game. George Kittle had a T-shirt that was autographed by Jimmy G, and it was him in a bathing suit, like a candid like paparazzi shot of him in a bathing suit at a pool.
I think I did see that. I don't think I saw it live, but I think I did see that.
I saw it later, and I was like, that is amazing. That's so good. I really hope they have more. I hope they have more of those. I think that would be good for team morale.
Oh yeah.
All right, enough about this. We'll see who wins tomorrow. Um, hopefully, I'm hoping for a good game either way, right? It will be unfortunate for us, really, not necessarily for San Francisco in general, but or the world at large, but for us that the Niners will therefore have 6 Super Bowls, and we'll have to hear Pete talk about it forever.
Um, Honestly, it can't be much worse than last year's Super Bowl.
Why do I not remember last year's Super Bowl?
Really? Wow. Who's the one team that always goes?
The Patriots.
Okay, versus it's the LA team.
Oh,
Rams.
against Rams.
Yeah.
Oh, and that just that's why I blocked it out of my memory, because it was an absolute flop of a game.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only reason I remember is because of the memes or the internet postings. And my favorite one still is: could you imagine paying $7,000 to go to a punting contest in a Maroon 5 concert?
Hey, at least they have J-Lo and Shakira, right? This year? I don't know.
Was it
Either way,
Shakira? I know J Lo was one of them. Was it Shakira?
I thought it was Shakira,
Could be.
because her hips don't lie.
Oh God.
All right. Anyway, let's move on. You have a story for us.
We're going well off the rail of football. This is even any way related to what we were just talking about whatsoever.
It's okay. Most of what we talk about isn't
completely
related
random.
to football. Well, at this point, because football, like I said, is ramping down. So we are also ramping down our football content. It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. This story just kind of puts a bit of my personality into it. Is I like to mess with people, but not in a way that it's like pouring cold water while they're showering, or like antiquing. Like it's never like directly punishment to the person. It's more just making them go, "What the hell?" So back in college, in my final apartment, I had to set up everything. There was going to be 4 people living in this house, and I had to find the apartment. I had to set up the electric. I had to set up the Wi-Fi. I had to make sure everything was good and ready for when everyone was ready to move in. So I decided to mess with people by just naming the Wi-Fi and had to put the password on it. And it just worked out in such a way that I was hoping for, but didn't think was going to happen. So just the first part of it is my Wi-Fi at the time was named Password is Taco. Shout out to the league. If you haven't seen that show, it's amazing. Um, and the significance of that is just people coming up to me and go, "Hey Bryce, what's your Wi-Fi? It's Password is Taco." But yes, what's the Wi-Fi? It's Password is Taco. And they do that like 3 or 4 times before they look at me. I'm like, "Look for it. Do you see Password is Taco?" They go, "Yes." And it's just really funny. But the biggest payoff to this was I had named the password. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it differently. The biggest payoff was when I had to tell someone the password. Of course, I'm bald now, but back in college, I still had some hair, so still in denial, and was buzzing and would buzz my head. So as one day I'm buzzing my head, and I'm 6'3". I still have I still rocking the beard. Maybe not as glorious as it is now, but I still had the beard. So I'm standing in my bathroom, just basketball shorts only, doing the buzz cut, and a guy that I'm rooming with, I've met once. Like, he's coming down from Washington. His parents came down to the apartment to check it out first and to drop off his stuff, help set up his stuff. I don't know why he couldn't do all this. I'm assuming he was busy. But I've met his parents more than I've met the guy that I'm going to be rooming with. And this guy's about my height, maybe a little taller than you, Chris. Um, and a little more meat, but not exactly Pete big either. And so he walks into my room while I'm doing this, and he goes, "Hey man, what's the password to the Wi-Fi?" And I look him straight in the face and just go, "Blow me first." And he stops in his tracks. He was like, "What the hell?" And I just look at him and go, "It's a capital B. First is 1ST." That was the password. It was capital BLOW, the number 1ST. And he had like the sigh of relief on his face. And the better part of it was his dad's in the room behind him laughing his ass off. Like, I could not have planned that any better.
Wow. Wow.
I want to throw in a quick little side story because it kind of goes with how I like them, like the same view of how I like to mess with people, and I still feel like a bit of a cork for doing this. You of course my friend Matt, and we were roommates. Like the previous 2 years before this story. So one day we're leaving from our apartment there, and we're both heading down to the Phoenix area from Prescott, and we're taking 2 separate cars because we're not going to stay with each other the whole weekend. But we're going to the same place, and we're going to his mom's house. I don't remember why, but getting out of Prescott is just it's a 2 separate 2-lane roads. So a 2-lane road going out to a 2-lane road coming in, but they're side by side, but just not connected. So I'm following Matt through all the lights, and I'm like, why am I following right behind him? I know where I'm going. I don't necessarily need to follow him. So I pull up to him on like the second light out of Prescott. And I have like that evil thought that pops in your mind. You know what I'm talking about? Like you have this idea that you just know is bad, but you kind of want to do it anyway. And I call Matt up on the phone and go, "Hey Matt, let's be pace cars." Do you know if I called you and said that, would you know what I meant?
Yes.
Yeah. And he didn't know what I meant. He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "Let's drive side by side for as long as we can and just see what happens." He goes, "I'm not speeding." I go, "I need you to go 5 over the speed limit. That's what I need you. Just go 5 over." He goes, "Fine." So we're going, I don't know, probably 65 on a 60. And I'm laughing just because I know what I'm doing. And Matt and I are like shifting. Like, he'll be like a less than a car length ahead of me. Then I'll be. Then we'll switch, and we get to this point where there's like a good this good wide turn, and I can finally see more than just the car behind me. I look out of my side view mirror. I can see 20 cars just behind me. and another 10 behind Matt, because we've been doing this for about 10 minutes. So about 10 miles. There has been no more lights. There's no way around. They're just stuck behind us. And we get to this point where the speed drops from like 60 to 35 or something like that. And of course, Matt pulls off first, and I decided to keep going a little bit. So now there's room, and all of a sudden, just vroom, 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 like they are speeding like a mofo to get around me. Oh, they were so mad. I was laughing, and Matt calls me and goes, "Dude, do you see what's happening?" I go, "No, what's going on? People are flipping you off. They're throwing stuff at your car." Like, really? I didn't even notice because I was just laughing so much. I
Oh
know,
my
I know,
god.
I know it's a really messed up thing to do, but it was so funny. Because how pissed would you be if you were behind me?
I mean, they're depending upon like it depends on what day you catch me on, but I might pit you. Like it really like honestly like depend like I'm all for that. Like that happens for people not paying attention. So people will do that because they think they're funny for a little bit, right? And then
For
usually like
10
something happens.
miles?
But for 10 miles, there at probably about mile 3 or 4 is when I start considering if I'm gonna pull a pit maneuver on one of you.
um the, the worst part was the guy that was behind me at the light where I decided to do this. He was there from the beginning.
Oh, yeah, if I'm that guy, you're probably gonna end up in a ditch. Just saying. Like I have no accidents on my record, so I can take the hit.
Like, how mad could you really be? We were going 5 over the speed limit, and what's even worse about it is that when we slowed down to the 35, people were easily going 50 just to get around me.
Oh yeah, like you have to remember, like especially through that area, most of like the posted speed limits these days are a little like on the low side, and then on purpose too. It's to catch people speeding. It's not because it's actually like I don't. I have. There's probably a 1% chance that it's actually because it's safer. It's really because they know that they can. It's you're more likely to go. You're more likely to go faster. So if they have like police officers through there, they can get tax. They can get revenue basically by giving out speeding tickets to that area,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of reasons. Well, I mean, I do understand lower speed limits in some areas just because you're either going through like a business area or whatever. People are more likely to be walking and could easily cross the street. But some even in like freeways where the speed limit's 65, 70, depending on where you're at, you still have cops. Have you seen this? The when the cops pull out in front of everyone and start swerving in the lanes to slow everyone down. I I know that everyone keeps telling me, oh, it's because there's an accident somewhere up there. I've never seen an accident in front of a cop that does that. Never,
Um.
not once. I've seen one guy did it in California. He sped off after he pulled all traffic to nearly a complete stop, and I'm not even kidding. We were going like 10 miles an hour, and then he takes off, and I was going his way, so he's more or less in my sights. There was nothing in front of me for miles. Like, I don't get that.
Well, I mean, it also could be that they're trying to give the. Well, there may not necessarily be an accident. Like they could be pulling the like putting a car on like the flatbed, right? So you're giving them time. They're slowing you down so that they can give time to clear it out. That could be a thing instead of like trying to trying to bottleneck traffic. I'd much rather have them slow you down for a little bit for like 10-15 minutes than have to hit one of those bottlenecks where you're basically like in stop and go traffic where you go like 3 inches every 10 minutes and you sit there for an hour. So,
Because people can't merge
oh, because people
properly,
aren't merging, like
rubbernecking.
people rubbernecking, people not paying attention. Like we had one, I was, what was I doing? We had, I think we had show tickets or something like that. I was running errands earlier, like on a Saturday on the 101 out here, and um, and getting some stuff done. And like Sam and I had to split up some tasks, and like we ran a little late doing one thing. So she's like, "Hey, can you make an extra stop?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll totally do that." Because yeah, that's what it was. We were going to a Christmas party, and then her cousin's birthday. We were meeting her family for her cousin's birthday beforehand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So divide and conquer, right? But I had the capacity to make an extra stop, so I did, and then was going to like my next errand, like at Tempe Marketplace. So I went to Chandler Mall, and then I had to go up to Tempe Marketplace for whatever I was trying to get, right? And I get stuck on the 101 for 45 minutes. I go 2 miles in 45 minutes to get around where the accident was. And it's because it was in the thing about it is that like irritated me to a certain extent. Like I'm glad like people were safe. There's no fatalities. Like, so, all good to be irritated at this point. Like they had the accident completely pulled over to the shoulder. They had minimal like rescue vehicles and things like that all pulled over to the side, but they condensed the 101 down to 2 lanes on the far left. I pushed it all the way over to the far left from 4 lanes, or from 5, basically 5 lanes, because it's not really 5. Whatever. You have because you have the merge lane that for people coming on, like it extends and then merges and then goes back and forth. So like a little bit, but either way, like it. I don't even think it was down to 2 lanes. It might have even been down to like they pushed you all the way into the carpool lane to get out of this, and then like there were no cars beyond this. So it basically created this huge bottleneck because they had this super wide, like whatever. I don't know if the accident was across multiple lanes previously, but I'm sitting there kind of like looking at this going like, why not like correct this, right? Like so that you can get back to the normal flow of traffic instead of like creating this 45-minute 2-mile bottleneck, because there's no way for us to get like, because of where it's at, there's no way for us to get off. And then like the one exit that's in between is completely jacked up because it's not equipped to handle that kind of volume, right? So the only way to get off the freeway at this point was people with trucks and stuff that were going up and like basically 4-wheeling up the side of the freeway, because it's gravel, like right there, like going up and then making their own lanes basically. So like this like 2-lane exit, we have one that's like a go straight and go right and then a left-hand turn. That's all that there was. Became 4 lanes because people were using the shoulders to try and get out. It was ridiculous.
You think they would have gotten like pulled over at some point, but who's going to call that in and be like, they're going up to this street?
Well, how are you going to get there?
Yeah, you would literally have to radio it into somebody else and have them work and have them get them.
Yeah, but by the time that they're able to get there, because you've now backed up traffic, like to the point where it was almost a parking lot, and obviously like it gets worse and worse as you get into it, because like, and it's you're backing it up farther and farther and farther. It was just like a whole thing, right? Like, but playing off of that whole like, I would have rather them gone way down and like had somebody slowing traffic, but keep it moving, right? And then give us like 3 lanes, like give them time to pull stuff over, pull it all off to the side, move the cones so that it's only blocking maybe 1 lane, right? And then keep traffic moving. It still would have been slow, but traffic could have still been moving instead of it. Basically, I wasted my entire time. Like, I wasted 45 minutes, and I was out of time. I couldn't even run my errand because I needed to go do other things. Right?
It was time sensitive.
Well, I was time sensitive. If I wasn't, I mean, it still would have sucked because sitting in your car doing nothing. I ran out of new podcasts to listen to. But yeah.
I would name a couple, but I'm not here to plug someone else's podcast.
All right, I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks everyone for listening to The Bald and the Beardiful. You can email us at theballandbeardiful@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook with The Bald and Beardiful. You catching the theme here? Like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. If you email us, maybe we'll even give you a shout out. Anything to add, Chris?
I want it on the record I was wearing pants this entire time.
Versus all the other times.
Bye, guys.
See ya.